Okay, good evening once again, everyone. We will resume where we just left off with our land acknowledgement. Please go ahead, Andrea. Thank you. Sorry, Andrea, still not getting the audio.
Jerry, unfortunately, we're not sure if it's because of the streaming, because Andrea, she keeps getting muted. Her mic gets muted out when it goes on. It must be with the streaming, so we'll definitely rectify this for our next meeting.
Okay, very well. Okay, sorry, folks. We'll have to enjoy the land acknowledgement again the next time we gather, as we always do. All right. So, Andrea, if we could revert, please, to the agenda. All right. First item, of course, is the agenda itself and approval of the agenda. If there aren't any revisions required, if I could ask for someone to move that they be accepted. Thank you, Joel. You're moving. The agenda be accepted, or do you have a revision?
I move that the agenda be accepted.
Thank you. And a seconder, please.
I second that.
So was that Olu? Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. And the minutes. And the minutes.
Livelihood.
Okay. Previously, just sorry, we've got some background noise there. The minutes, we've got someone to move that they be accepted, unless there are any revisions.
Move.
Thank you, Steve. And a seconder.
Accepted. Second.
I'm sorry, who seconded, please?
Lydia.
Thank you, Lydia. All right. Okay, very good. Moving right along now to our board update. Nancy Donaldful.
Thanks, Jerry. So for our board update, I'm going to share that in our elementary settings, we are continuing with our face-to-face learning environment and our virtual school. On March 29th, we completed the third change in learning environment for elementary students. We moved over 500 students back to the brick and mortar schools. Most of the students were absorbed back into existing classrooms that were in the schools. We did not open, we did open just 2 new classrooms, one at St. Scholastica and one at St. Benedict. In the virtual school, we collapsed 15 virtual classrooms with 500 students moving out of the virtual school. The teachers of these classrooms were long-term vocational teachers who have since been absorbed into long-term occasional positions within our brick and mortar schools. We were pleased to be able to fill those spots, as some of those positions we were unable to fill prior to the turnaround. We did take in 130 students into the virtual school, and these students were placed within our virtual classrooms where possible with students from their home school. Okay. With the students moving between the virtual school and the brick and mortar school, the teachers are migrating the student achievement so that the teachers have the data, their current teachers have the most current data for those students. Just in the event public health or the Ministry of Education moves us to remote learning during this third wave, we are ready to pivot. Okay, we did this very successfully in January. Our teachers and our students were prepared and worked through January and February in the remote classrooms that were in the school. So we're okay to do it again. And if technology is needed, we will distribute this. We've been given no direction, and we're ready to continue the way we are right now. Parents received a parent poll in early March for information about the preferred learning environment for their children for September 2021. We received responses from over 12,000 parents who responded to the survey, and we currently have approximately 658 students who parents have indicated for the virtual school for September. In June, parents will have another opportunity to confirm their child's placement for September, and we hope that the conditions for COVID-19 will improve with more vaccination, but we want to give parents that opportunity to make their decision. There will be an opportunity to change the learning environment during the 2021-22 school year. At the secondary level, we are in the final weeks of the third quadmester and culminating tasks. On April 26th, we'll move into our fourth quadmester with the turnaround day on April 22nd. At the secondary level, as we plan for September, we are planning for a return to our semester 1 and 2 model remote environment, and we will be able to pivot if we have to back to the quadmester model if necessary. Option sheets have been completed, and we're looking at the staffing for September. Students in our secondary setting complete a daily screening tool that they show their teacher of the course they're going into when they are in the school building. And as mentioned before, we are planning for D-Stream Math in grade 9 for September, and communication will go out to parents. Graduations are being planned at the secondary and elementary level, will be virtual ceremonies with a variety of ceremonies for the distribution of awards and certificates planned by each school's graduation committee. We have already heard through Halton Regional Police just some guidelines that they have asked us to consider if we're doing the drive up or the congregation for graduation. So we do have a lot of protocols that we have to uphold with how we're doing our graduations at this time. Our special education support staff are continuing to support students both in person and virtually in our elementary and secondary setting. This includes our special education resource teachers, EAs, CYCs, social work, speech pathologists, CDAs, and all other special ed staff that support our schools. To model, and we do have a PA day coming up in April on April 23rd. The morning is our traditional staff faith day. That's the focus for the morning, and the afternoon is focused on equity and inclusion, with each school looking at their anti-Black racism plan. It was wonderful to see the variety of activities and special events that happen through Lent and Holy Weeks in all our school communities virtually, and also a lot of community building activities that the school teams have done to create a positive school culture for the students. There's also been many evening events. We've seen Kahoot nights, trivia nights, craft nights, bake nights, and many more things that the schools have done to try to stay engaged with their community. Catholic Education Week is coming up on May 3rd to 7th with the theme this year, Nurturing Hope. Each school will celebrate this theme in their own unique way, highlighting our Catholic schools. Thursday, May 6th is our traditional Walk with Jesus, and each school will participate in their own neighborhood walk with Jesus, upholding the COVID-19 protocols. The school year calendar for September 2021 school year has been drafted together with the Halton District School Board. And I would like to thank Steve, who was the Cpic representative for that committee. There will be 2 scheduled PA days ahead of the Labor Day weekend, and with additional PA days throughout the year. So there'll be 7 in total, so that's consistent with what we've had each year. We have gone back to our traditional Christmas break, the way we have it usually 2 weeks, December 20th to 31st, and March break being March 14th to 18th. But all this could change as it did this year with direction from the Ministry of Education. So at the April 20th board meeting, it will be presented again. And following that, communication from our communications department will go out to parents on April 21st. And then the calendar will be submitted to the Ministry of Education for approval. The COVID protocols continue to be closely followed in our schools. Yes, there have been reported cases in our schools. What has really changed in the last few weeks is with a class closure, when there's an investigation taking place, they are closing that class until that investigation is complete. And then at that time, if is a positive case, then the class is in isolation for 14 days. We have been consistent with our communication and our protocols when a positive case comes up in the community. Our advisory board on our school board website is updated daily. There is a screening tool being used by families and the school that has been created by public health, and we follow their direction about this. Staff, when asked to isolate at home, if they're well, they can teach their class remotely from home. In most cases, our staff has been deemed low risk, and that is because they are wearing their PPE in the school setting with the children. With the low risk, they are usually going back into the school setting to teach remotely. The students are deemed high risk in most cases, as our students do take off their masks in the building when they're eating their lunch and for mask breaks. As mentioned earlier, our secondary students are doing their daily screening, and they have to show their green check to the teacher when they start their day. Our staff PPEs include, the students may have noticed and you may have heard from, it's with their masks and their either shield or goggles. And at that time, we know everyone is getting tired with the restrictions and all that's going on with COVID-19, but it's really important that all of us bear down and continue to health protocols and the guidelines that have been set out. And we will continue to receive communication about this as we go into the spring break next week, so that we hopefully all can return on April 19th. Any questions? Okay, thank you, everyone.
Great, thank you, Nancy. Very thorough update. Thank you very much, and thank you for the acknowledgement at the end there that everyone's growing tired, but we must stay the course. Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to echo that, and thank you for saying that. It's so true. Okay, moving on to our next item. Update from our Board of Trustees, and we have Vice Chair Dwight with us this evening. Please go ahead.
Thank you. And this is perfect timing. There's some music happening upstairs, my kids' music classes, so don't be bothered by that. So just a quick update on what's happening at the board. Superintendent Dunlop talked about the annual Walk for Jesus event. That report was presented at the March 2nd board meeting. And another information report, which is very interesting and which is important, was the report on racism and discrimination, responding with faith, hope, and love. This is a wonderful document which was prepared by staff. Very well thought out document and presented, which will be very helpful to our students who undergo discrimination, who feel discriminated against. This document has been developed to support staff and students to respond to racism and discrimination with faith, hope, and love. At the March 16th board meeting, trustees passed a resolution to send a letter to the Ministry of Education encouraging the revision of the curriculum to better incorporate the culture and history of racialized and marginalized students and staff, such as women, people with disabilities, Black and Indigenous people, people of color, and 2S LGBTQ+ people. At the same meeting, trustees passed a resolution to eliminate the waitlist for the early French program in all regions for the 2022-23 school year onwards. This has prompted a boundary review in Milton only for accommodating the need, which is the boundary review is presently underway, and there's a meeting tomorrow, I guess. At the board meeting of April 6th, there was one student delegation titled Flying the Flag with Pride, and there were two student delegations titled Allowing Non-Catholics to be Student Trustees, and this was accepted as information by the Board of Trustees. I mentioned in the past about a board undertaking work on the multi-year strategic plan, and you probably did one survey, so there are many more surveys coming out. So the multi-year strategic plans, it's a process, and trustees continue to work on it, and the process should take about 6 to 8 months, hopefully. And so we are working, it's work in progress. Trustees have attended professional development sessions on supporting equity and inclusion through the Catholic lens on March 11th. Disabilities conducted by Dr. Ann Jamieson, Director of ICE, and Dr. Moira McGowan, who's a theologian. Our next professional development session is on human rights and accommodation in Catholic education on April 22nd, and this is going to be by 2 lawyers. And as we know, the situation is rapidly changing, and Superintendent Dinalfo has given you updates. Director Daly gives updates at every board meeting, and evolving, and situation is changing. And I would like to thank all our Cpic members and parents for your patience and understanding. And we hope and pray that we get through this quickly and safely. I can take a few questions if there are any. Thank you.
Hey, Joel, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Thanks for that update, Marvin. The question I have, it might be directed to you, and it might actually be directed to Director Daly. Because I'm actually also monitoring the social media stuff. I'm having my feet in 2 worlds tonight, and I did notice that the board sent a letter to the Premier tonight requesting that teachers and staff be prioritized for vaccination in the province. And I'm just wondering, I don't know if you can speak to this, Marvin, but maybe Director Daly can speak a little bit more to this, just to give us more update about what the board is doing on this front.
I can just give you a quick update from the trustees' point of view. There was a motion to send a letter to the Premier and the local public health unit, and that letter was sent out today. So that's from the Board of Trustees' point of view. I think Director Daly can add to that. Director Daly online.
Pat, would you like to add additional comment?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a whole lot more to add. Certainly, Cpic members would be aware that public health units in other parts of the province have issued what are called Section 22 orders to close schools down. So most recently in Peel and Toronto.
Sent a letter to
because of their COVID numbers there, and you may have also seen prior to that where boards would close individual schools. Those were more typically around the inability of those schools to be able to safely staff the building. So in a case where a class or multiple classes are sent home, and then multiple teachers are sent home. Oftentimes then it's difficult to replace those teachers, and at that point the board has to decide whether or not the school building itself can safely operate during the day. We haven't been in that situation yet here in our board. We have closed numerous classes, but have not yet had to close any schools as a whole, and hopefully it won't come to that.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Director Daly. Thank you, Vice Chair Duarte. Any other questions for Vice Chair Duarte?
Because.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. Okay, moving to our other standing items. OAPC update. Now, I don't believe we have Denise with us this evening, so we'll defer our OAPC update. So moving straight into our Cpic subcommittees. School support, School Council Support Committee. If we could have our update, please. Who's representing?
This is Lydia. I'm representing the School Council Support Subcommittee this evening. As we reported last time, we started a few initiatives, but at this moment our focus is on the resource binder, or the handbook. One of our subcommittee members mentioned that In the past, this resource binder existed, and it hasn't been updated, or it hasn't been handed out to the new Cpic members. So we took the initiative to review and update the handbook, similar to the bylaws we are doing at the moment, and make it available to the new Cpic members. Especially, our target is to have it updated by the end of this school year, or by June, so it will be ready for September. So we already started reviewing it, but we should gather all the feedback from all our members soon and have it distributed to the co-chairs for review, and then they can forward it to the other Cpic members, and hopefully, as I said, have it updated. The last version was done, the last update was done in 2015, but now we have the new logo. We have a few other comments to improve it. So we hope that we'll achieve this in parallel with the other few initiatives we started, but they don't kind of went in the second priority at this moment, having the focus, as I mentioned at the moment, to the handbook or the resource. So we took the initiative. Yes. Hello?
Keep going, Lydia. There's just sometimes there's a bit of an echo. Keep going.
Okay. Okay. So that would be my report for this evening. Do you have any questions?
I'll just add a bit. I'll add a bit of commentary. Just from the exercise we went through of gathering feedback from school councils in regards to procedure II-84. It was clear there's some pretty significant inconsistencies across the board in the various school councils in terms of how school councils conduct themselves and what I suppose by extension what they're looking at when functioning, when operating throughout the year. And part of which is inconsistency with following policies, procedures, bylaws. So certainly what we've seen from that feedback is a need to try and gain more consistency, and I think the resource handbook will help address that. So I think it's important work, frankly. So well done. I look forward to the fruits of that. Obviously, the rollout of it will be important as to how it's handled, and just to try and again gain some consistency across the various school councils as to how they function and operate, and apply the bylaws and the regs and so on. So that's I can't understate the importance of that work. So thank you to that subcommittee.
Jerry, just a quick question for that subcommittee. I'm just wondering if we would be able to get copies of that draft in advance of our next meeting, and whether or not we can add that as an item to our next meeting for discussion. Just wondering about the timing.
Yes, certainly that's the plan. Hopefully in the next week or so, we will have our members' feedback consolidated, and then send it back to first to the co-chairs, how they can review it, and then distribute it to the other Cpic members for feedback, and have some, let's say, draft preliminary copy ready for review by the next Cpic meeting, so we can kind of accept it. Or
great, thank you.
Well,
all right. Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Lydia. Okay. All right. If there are no more questions, we'll move on. So up next, Parent Community Engagement Committee.
I guess that's me. Yeah. So. Latest update would be Jerry and Jen sent us a request to go searching for a possible speaker to do like a presentation or I guess webinar these days. I brought that forward to our committee. We've been mulling it around and kind of trying to come up with a theme a bit. That conversation unfortunately did get paused a bit. I think life got in the way. Oh, okay. Life just got in the way, and that conversation has been paused for a moment. But we narrowed it down to a theme, I think, of student success and how parents can help fluctuate or help engage in that matter. I believe Denise, who is part of the committee, was also going to look at OAPSE has a list of speakers who they go to for their events. Might be looking at poaching maybe one or two speaker ideas from them, and hopefully we'll be able to bring it back to this committee before too long. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Joel. Any questions for Joel or the Parent Community Engagement Committee?
Joel, just wondering, is this do you guys have any tentative dates as to when you'd like to run this event? Are we thinking May or June at this point?
I ideally before the school year is out, so probably closer to June maybe, or I guess it would depend on the availability of the speaker's choice. So that would be get paused. I think life got in the way. Yeah, we don't have anything set in stone at the moment. Ideally, okay. Yes, before the end of the school year, but I'm not going to put that in stone.
So I think we have to spend the program money in the school year.
Okay.
So we would need to have a plan, probably in the next couple of weeks, as to what we are going to do in terms of the speaker and when we want to have the event, just to get that booked and make sure that the money is spent this year.
Okay, good to know. I will. I'll pass it along to the committee.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jen. And thanks, Joel. Okay. All right. So moving on now to our Bylaw Subcommittee. So we held a special meeting to go over or to review our proposed revised bylaw document. And again, for the benefit of all here, we've been working on this for some time now to update the previous version of our bylaws, the Cpic bylaws, which was the last version was June 2017. And at first we undertook to update the documents such that number one, we cleaned up some inconsistencies. Number two, a lot of kind of editorial changes, just language consistency, use of acronyms and full forms of those acronyms. Just basically an editorial cleanup of the document, and a reordering of the bylaws as well, such that they flowed in a more logical fashion. Where we stopped short was any substantive or material changes to the bylaws themselves. So this was very much an if you will, an editorial exercise to clean the document up, to make it more user friendly and more workable. With the next steps are to revisit the bylaws themselves, update each of them in turn, and then come back to the larger committee with proposed changes to the bylaws over time. So where we are this evening is now we have the revised document dated April 2021, circulated to the committee since our special meeting for everyone's review, with the hope that we will adopt the revised bylaw document, so that we can work forward from this version of it, as we set about our regular review of the bylaws. So before we put the motion forward to a vote, Any questions? Anything anyone wants to say about the motion? Revisit the bylaws themselves. Oh, I love that echo. What is that all about? Okay, don't like hearing myself reverberated back. Anyway, okay, it seems there are no questions on us. That's terrific. So if we could then we'll then put the motion forward. Then the motion before us is to adopt the revised bylaw document dated April 2021. So if we can just simply go around and required to pass this because it is a bylaw matter would be a 2/3 majority would be required for this to carry. So I'll just go in the order in which I see everyone on the participant list. So Jen, we'll start with you.
Free, Jerry.
Sorry, in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay, thank you. Maria?
In favor.
Thank you. Steve?
In favor.
Thank you. Olu?
In favor.
Thanks, Olu. And just scrolling down, Lydia?
In favor.
Thank you, Lydia. Joel?
In favor.
Sarah? Sarah Furlong, that would be.
In favor.
Sarah Siwash? All right, we'll come back to Sarah Siwash. Tiana? Tiana and Sarah Siwash, are either of you there? Okay. Well, yeah, by my math, we have 2/3 anyway. If we count Sarah and Tiana as abstaining, I suppose.
In favor.
Thank you. I believe that was an echo. All right, so by my count, the motion carries. Okay, very good. We'll consider that carried, and the new bylaw document comes into effect immediately. All right, excellent. Okay, no further updates from the Bylaw Subcommittee at this time. Again, next steps, as I mentioned, include doing a deeper dive on each of the bylaws in turn. So we'll continue our work there and report back at our future meetings. So thank you. Okay, turning now to our Cpic representation on the various board committees. If we could have a brief update from each, that would be great. Starting with mental health. Who's representing us there, please?
I believe this is Lydia. One of them, I'm the representative, and the other one is Sarah, I believe.
I suppose.
So far, it hasn't been any meeting since the last we had in November. I'm not sure what is the reason why they're not happening. But one's supposed to be scheduled. I follow a couple of times, but I haven't. Either it hasn't happened or I haven't been invited. So nothing to report today.
Okay, and I'm sorry, Lydia. Was that for mental health?
Yes.
It was. Okay. Anyone from our trustees present or from board staff present? Any awareness there as to what's going on with that board committee?
Sorry.
Sorry, is that you, Marvin?
Yeah, no information from me.
No? Okay.
Jerry, there are a couple mental health committees, so I'm just not sure if Lydia has been missed from the one committee. I'm trying to connect with Glenda Brown, that's who would oversee it, but there's a couple different committees. I'm not sure which one Lydia was on before.
I believe.
Well,
So far,
Lydia, do you know who was on the committee with you? Like who the board representative was? I'll follow up, Jerry. Okay.
Okay. Yes, please. Thanks, Nancy. I hate to think we're missing something here. Okay. Bullying prevention.
Okay, that's me. I haven't got an update. The last that I had was the document was basically finished. There was just waiting on some infographics to go into it, but I haven't seen a final or revised document. As soon as I get it, I will pass it along.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sarah. Walk with Jesus.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, thanks, Tiana.
Hi. Sorry. By the way, my vote was in favor. I just couldn't access my microphone. Sorry. The Walk with Jesus. We've had a couple of meetings since our last Cpic meeting, and so the walk is scheduled for May 6th. They were hoping for about a 10 a.m. start time. Now, the way they have it worked out is a couple of different ways. They're thinking of, like for the online schooling and for the high schools, the Walk with Jesus is to be done as a parent initiative, like with parents, with the families, sorry. So the students and their families to do a walk together and to send a hashtag. They have a specific hashtag they chosen. The schools will be sharing that soon, what that is. And then for the in-school elementaries, they thought of doing a perimeter walk with just a perimeter of the school with the groups that the kids are associated with. I guess now with maybe possibly having online schooling coming again, then that would all flip to online and asking that people as a family do the Walk with Jesus on May 6th at any time with your family and send a hashtag on where you're walking or how you're walking. One of the things they asked if Cpic might be able to promote it to the schools or influence families within our community to do the walk. So that's what they asked, if there's anything we can do to help out in that way before May 6th. Getting the word out to maybe the school council. Worked out is a couple of different ways. Oh, sorry, I'm getting feedback as well.
Yeah.
So that's about it with that. Is there any questions or?
You know, that's great, Tiana. Thank you for that update.
Sorry, actually,
go ahead. Yep.
That when you have that information finalized, would it be possible to send it over to myself so we could share it on the Cpic social media platforms? Just if you're going to need a parent involvement, it'd be an easy way to reach out. That's all.
Sure. So what I can do is I'll get that information tomorrow and get it out to you right away.
Yeah, just shoot me an email and I will get it. I will schedule it to go out probably the next day or maybe sometime on the weekend.
And is that Joel?
Yes, it is. I will type my email in the chat and you can copy and paste it.
Sounds great. So I'll get that out to you. So they've even actually developed their own logo and it's very, very nice. So I'll get that out to you as well.
Okay.
Maybe you could post that.
Yeah.
Also,
all information that you have, send it my way, and I'll put it together to send out.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Joel. I was going to, in fact, call on you to see how we could support. That's great. And further to that, Nancy Donalfo, I'm wondering if we could send a message out to the Council of Chairs on behalf of from Cpic on behalf of that committee. To encourage participation and perhaps point them to the social media posts and other information. Is that something you think we could do?
We can, Jerry. There will be additional communication going to the schools as well, so that they will be sending it out too. Okay.
All right, great. Yeah, and if
you can do from Cpic as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. Just that we know that it gets to the school council chairs, you know, and because again, I know just from our own experience at St. Luke, we're looking for ways to engage, with the school, with families. So I think it's a terrific initiative for schools to do that. So that'd be great. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Tiana. And Homeschool Parish Partnership.
Hi, Jerry, that's me. I have no update. We have not met since our last meeting.
Okay, Jen. We'll look forward to the update next time then. All right, and School Year Calendar Committee. Steve, I know we heard from Nancy earlier on that, but was there anything further?
No, there's no additional information. Nancy did a great job.
Okay. All right, great. Thanks, Steve. And okay, thank you all for your the various updates. Now moving on to item 6, our discussion items. I'm going to pass this over to Jen to facilitate some discussion here. And starting off with Council of Chairs meeting, our next one, our final one for the year, scheduled for May 25th. Go ahead, Jen.
Thanks, Jerry. So we're just looking to generate some ideas for discussion items at the Council Chairs meeting later next month. Some of the items that we've come up with is perhaps a speaker on de-streaming. As Nancy mentioned, that's coming to our schools next year in grade 9 math. Another one we thought of is perhaps having a breakout discussion for the council chairs to discuss best practices of school councils, because I know that is an item that one of our subgroups is working on, but we thought it'd be a great opportunity for people to talk and kind of jot down the things that they think they do well, maybe within their councils, and the things they don't do so well. And then that information can be utilized by our subgroup to put together our best practices book or sheet or whatever it ends up being. And the third item we'd come up with is perhaps doing some kind of a discussion around re-engaging communication, connections with families. With our fingers crossed that next year most students will be back in person for learning. How do we re-engage and communicate with those families that have been offline? But we're, of course, open for any ideas or suggestions in addition to what we have, or any of your thoughts around some of the items we're proposing. So I'll just leave it open for anyone to step forward and give us their thoughts. Okay, I'm not sure if it's because you guys can't hear me or no.
Yeah, no, we can hear you fine, Jen. No,
okay.
I'm monitoring the participant list here, and there's no hands coming up.
Nothing in the chat?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, Jerry and I will meet further about this over the next couple of weeks to finalize the agenda for that meeting. But please, if you have any ideas or any thoughts, please feel free to share them with us, with those families that have been offline. I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I got cut off.
No, that was just an echo, Jen. Sorry about that.
That was an echo? Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
The second discussion item is for us as a group to discuss Catholicity of Cpic members. So we've engaged our school councils to get their opinion as to what the makeup of each school council should be, but we've not yet at this table sat around and discussed the Cpic membership, and do we believe that what are our thoughts around allowing non-Catholics, and if so, how many. So again, this is just an open discussion. Would be very interested to hear everyone's thoughts and see if we can come up with perhaps not a consensus, but some kind of a majority of agreement. Regardless, we will forward all of our comments to the board, but just want to open the discussion and gather people's thoughts.
Okay, got Maria's hand up. Go ahead, Maria.
So I just had a couple of questions to start. I'm wondering, has there ever been an issue on Cpic where we've been unable to fill a vacant seat because of the rule around Catholics, non-Catholics? Would be my first question, and then I have another one after that.
So, okay, so Maria, maybe we'll take them in turn.
Okay.
I don't know if we have anyone here that's able to answer that question.
Okay.
It's and because I mean, again, we're all. I don't know if we have anyone long standing enough to speak to that.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping we could get, I guess, an answer from that question. Hopefully, somebody knows. And I guess with that question in mind, I'm just trying to understand why we're contemplating this, and it's very confusing to me because I know that this came up last year. The policy originally came up with the suggestion to change school councils as well as Cpic. It came to Cpic for discussion. It was very divided. I mean, normally if there was a vote and it was tied, the vote, the motion is lost. But it was very divided, so it was decided to go to school councils for feedback. And at that time, I asked, are we also looking to change Cpic? And the answer was no, we're just looking at school councils. So I don't know why it's all being done in piecemeal, and it just seems to keep coming back. So I don't know if anyone can explain that, but I think this has the potential to be a very divisive issue. And I'm not sure what the reasoning for it is for it, and why it's been kind of dragged out for a year in this piecemeal kind of fashion.
So Maria, if I may, and before, so we have both of our trustees that are in attendance have raised their hands, and I'll invite them to speak in a moment. Just the purpose of our discussion right now is to solicit people's members' feedback, input, commentary, so that we can then further inform the discussion that's taking place with the policy committee at the board level. So it was
very divided, so it was decided to go.
So I think without having to kind of rewind the tape and replay why we're having the discussion, the idea is simply just to gather that feedback and input as to how our Cpic members see it, and then provide that information. I mean, if we want to take this up with our trustees, again, I don't know that this is the time for that debate or discussion.
Okay, well, I just want to say I do have an opinion on it. I'm happy to share it, but I guess I just was trying to understand, first of all, why it's being suggested and why it's kind of been done in this fashion. So I see they have their hand up, so I can reserve my I certainly have feedback on it, but I don't know if Marvin and Nancy want to respond to the question or not.
Well, sure. I mean, why not? I mean, again, but let me just preface it with saying the idea here is to allow our members an opportunity to speak in the time allotted. So, but go ahead, Marvin.
So I'll just, out of my, what I'm thinking and what I recollect, I think Maria is correct. It was more to do with school councils. But I think Trustee Guzzo is here. I had a hand before her. I think she can talk more in detail. So I'll just yield to Trustee Guzzo.
All right, Trustee Guzzo, would you like to have the floor for a moment?
Sure, and thanks, Jerry. And I won't be long because I think these are two very different topics, and I think this is geared by Cpic because this is talking about something that is dealing with the Cpic committee. So it needs to be driven by the parents that are involved in Cpic. The parent council piece was something separate and is specific to a policy. So I think the lines are being blurred, not because that's what's been presented, but I think, Maria, you've kind of blurred the lines. It's very different. And I think that's why Jerry's bringing it up here to have a discussion tonight, if that's what I understood, Jerry.
I don't know that you understood my question, but I guess originally when the policy,
one of your pieces was that you said
The
it
idea
was
here is to
piecemeal.
allow our members.
It's just very different, right? It's the policy in regards to parent council versus the Cpic committee. They're two separate items. They're not.
It's part of the same policy, right?
Well, it's actually
Cpic is actually governed by its own bylaws, right? That's part of it, and that's where it gets determined is in the bylaws, and that's where the conversation is. Policies can always be reviewed. They have a 3-year cycle, but they can always be reviewed as things change. So again, this is something that would be driven by your committee, not by policy.
So, and I think, Maria, certainly what's prompted our discussion is the fact that the procedure is being reviewed. That said, as Nancy points out, these are our bylaws, and as we, as the Bylaw Subcommittee, we started to touch on this, and one of the things we said we would do was have an open discussion with the larger committee. To solicit the feedback, the input. A conversation was had last year, but it was inconclusive, and we may not come to conclusion. I don't expect we'll come to a definitive conclusion either tonight, but rather to start the discourse, to start the dialogue on it, such that we get it on the table. And we've asked our school councils to do the same. And I think it's just incumbent upon us to have that discussion as we, as we set about to revisit our own bylaws, and in consideration of potential change to the procedure that governs it for school councils. I think we're just at that point where we just need to get it on the table and have a discussion about it, and get people's views heard. So that's the hope for this discussion this evening. Is that fair enough for now? Or, I mean, I don't know if it probably doesn't fully answer your question, but
I am happy to take my question offline. I don't want to belabor the point here, and I think there seems to be some confusion, so that's fine.
Okay. All right.
I've put some comments in the chat box as well. So.
Okay. Thanks, Maria. Okay. Joel. But it was inconclusive.
Yeah. So if we're going to open the discussion to the Catholic, non-Catholic Cpic member makeup, I'll just add my 2 cents to my thoughts on the matter. Is I don't think we should have a Catholic, non-Catholic quota or quorum on membership makeup. I think the parent members that make up this committee, the priority should be whether or not we are a parent of a student at a school in the Halton Catholic School Board. I think it's we're here because we want to make our children's schools a more welcoming community and environment, and through the school councils as a part of that. The Catholic nature of the board is paramount throughout everything that the board does. So I would say we want parents who are involved, parents who are committed and passionate about making these schools as the best that they possibly can be, and we should try and eliminate as many barriers as possible to allowing somebody who wants to engage with us on that level to engage fully. That's my that's my 2 cents, and I'm open to a discussion if anybody wants to have that.
Okay, thank you, Joel. Noted your responses. Thank you for that. I see in the chat that Steve agrees with your comments. Okay. All right, just going back to our list of attendees. And we also have agreement from Sarah. All right, just making notes as we go here. Okay. Nancy Donalfo, I see your hand up.
Thanks, Jerry. Just to clarify for Maria's point, Maria, the policy doesn't stipulate anything about the Catholic, non-Catholic membership, okay? It's through the procedure. And right now, the procedure has membership, the current procedure, okay, has membership for Cpic with 2 non-Catholic parents. Where it's a little
with
different
us on that level to engage.
with what's different than the Catholic school councils is Cpic has a select number of individuals that make up Cpic, 10 members. So it says 2 members of the 10 can be non-Catholic. That's what's in the procedure right now, okay? And the procedure is up for review, but I think that clarifies your question of what you were asking. Okay, so the policy itself doesn't stipulate anything about membership. It's through the procedure. Does that help?
Well, I guess I blur the policies and procedures because to me it's all kind of it's more policy. Anyways, I understand I'm blurring those two, but I guess what I'm saying, and if you look back when this first came to policy committee, the procedure, I guess it was to change both. That was the original ask, and I've gone back and checked it. So now we're doing it in 2 separate pieces. But anyways, I don't want to belabor that point. I do have an opinion. I think I was next anyways. Is that correct, Jerry?
Yeah, by all means, Maria, go ahead.
Yeah. So I disagree. I have a different opinion. So I don't know, maybe I'm the only one, but I feel that it is important to maintain, and whether the correct number is 2 or it's a different number, I don't know. I think we have to remember that we are supposed to be distinctly Catholic, and what makes us distinctly Catholic. And I think there's lots of excellent teachers out there who are not Catholic, but they can't work on our board. Is that going to change at some point? I know with the French immersion, that's a question that's come up. If we didn't have that stipulation, we wouldn't have as many issues with staffing French, which is obviously something parents want. But the board's been very, they've stuck to that. What makes us distinctly Catholic? And I think that positions of leadership and positions of governance, and at the end of the day, we're part of the governance structure. I understand we don't make decisions, but we hopefully our voices are being heard and taken into consideration. We are an advisory board. And I think it's a question of the governance pieces and the leadership pieces being occupied by Catholics. Otherwise, it starts to become really like, are we just Catholic in name? Sorry, this echo thing keeps happening. Otherwise we're just Catholic in name. I don't feel, this is my 15th year on this board. I've met parents that are not Catholic. I didn't realize it, and at some point it came to realize that, but it's not obvious. I don't think that parents are excluded in any other way because of being Catholic or not Catholic. I think our board is very inclusive. I think that, we see them recognizing other religious holidays and all sorts of different things. Certainly parents can participate in many, many different ways. They can be on council. There are spaces for them. It's not like there's no space, and they can come to meetings and they can participate. And certainly they can reach out to us as Cpic members with feedback. There are some seats. Again, I don't know whether the right number is 2 or maybe a bigger number, but it starts to become very blurry. What makes us Catholic? And it's not to say that people that aren't Catholic aren't good people, and that there aren't, if you want to start doing that, it's not a judgment. I don't see it as a judgment piece. I see it as, this is what our board is about. And I think it becomes difficult when you start to reduce, are we just Catholic, the Catholic presence in leadership and governance roles? So that's how I see it.
Okay, thank you, Maria. I've made note of your comments as well. Thank you. Okay, other members, please do speak up, share your thoughts. All right. Well, perhaps I'll take this opportunity as a parent member to share my own thoughts. I personally, I'd like to see at least a majority of Catholic representation maintained on Cpic. You know, whether that majority is a simple majority of 50% plus one, or a 2/3 majority. I mean, either way, I'm okay. I think if a simple majority is sufficient. As it comes to the chair, co-chair, and vice chair, and this is yet another discussion that needs to be had amongst the bylaw subcommittee and then the larger committee, is the composition of our officer positions on Cpic. I also do believe we should maintain at least one of the chairs be Catholic. So that's those are my thoughts. So just to simply restate that we maintain. Sorry, folks, my dogs were losing their minds there. So just simply restate that a simple majority of Catholics on the committee, and that at least one of the chairs be Catholic going forward. Olu, go ahead, please.
Yes, Jerry. I think it's more of a prevention theme. And I'll give an example. I once served on a school council where the OAPSI rep
chair and vice chair,
where the OAPSI rep was when she went for the office, the role in that school council, she's a Muslim, and so this issue came up. Oh, how many non-Catholics and Catholics? And she insisted she wanted to serve. You know, she was a Muslim. So when the OAPSI meetings come up, when it was time to be sworn into the office, she didn't want to say the vows and all that kind of stuff. So I was asked to be like an underground OAPSI rep to kind of monitor what she does. So the question was, if you know you're a Muslim, you don't want to say the vows and all that kind of stuff, why are you going for this position? What is your objective? Because I remember very clearly the day when the elections were held, she brought in many of her people to come and vote so that they can influence the votes. And right after that, we never saw them again at the school council meetings through the year. So of course we had to put something up against that. What's your rep? So it's more of a prevention thing, so that the Cpic can continuously fulfill the objective of Christ and Christian education, which I think is a fantastic thing to do, and also so that there will be no infiltration, and the Cpic Council can continue with the Catholic vision of Christian education. So that is why I think this started coming up, because I remember back then it was an issue, and they were saying, well, we have to take it to Cpic. That was before I became a member of Cpic. We have to take it to Cpic to see that this has to be prevented, because what if in the future, you know, a majority of them take over the positions and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's more of a prevention thing to keep Cpic, to keep Cpic Catholic, to keep Cpic Christian, and to give that Christian viewpoint, that Christ-centered viewpoint in education, you know, in housing, and of course in all other provinces also. So I think it's more of a prevention thing to make sure that the objective and the goal stays on track, and that it is not infiltrated or dissuaded by people who don't have that same goal or objective in mind.
Okay, thanks, Olu. Just to ask you, are you then saying that the procedure should stay as is, i.e., two non-Catholic members are allowed, or are you proposing something different?
No, I think it should stay as it is, and the majority, both on the schools councils and Cpic, must be Catholic. People that have that same mindset and objections and objectives and goals.
Okay. Thanks, Olu.
All right.
Okay, so just sorry, checking the chat here. I see there's been some chat. Steve says Cpic members are voted in. How does Cpic decide which two non-Catholic? If actually there was 4 elected, there would be some.
So I think it's more of a prevention thing.
Some bylaws. Steve has a good point. Yes, and again, we may have to reach back to previous administration. Perhaps Jeff Crowell, Superintendent Crowell, may be able to shed some light on if that's been encountered in the previous couple of years, where if there's been, I don't know if we've had this situation. We didn't have it in the last round of elections. We didn't run into that situation. We're into another round of elections, so it will be that'll be coming up very shortly. So, and Maria says she thinks it's addressed in the bylaws. I don't know that it is, but we'll have to take that. We'll have to take that offline, folks. So I mean, I don't know if it's ever, number one, if it's ever been encountered. Number two, what the procedure would be. I mean, just thinking from a kind of a common, maybe perhaps a common sense approach, it would be those Catholic and non-Catholic members with the most votes. We may have to do it that way. So anyway, that's just kind of me thinking out loud, but we'll circle back and revisit that.
Jerry, I did have my hand up. I don't know if you thought that was from before.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Maria.
That's okay. But so on that point, I swear I read it somewhere, and it might, I think you're right. I don't think it's in the bylaws, but it might have been in the like the election procedures last year that said if if more than 2 were elected, it would be the 2 with the most votes. I think I've seen it somewhere. I just don't remember if it was the bylaws or the procedures that came, like the narrative that came last time. But I just want to circle back because a couple of things that you had said. So just to be clear, my vote would be to keep it as it is, in terms of 2 Cpic members being non-Catholic. But having said that, you mentioned majority. If it was going to go to something like a majority or a proportional, my suggestion would be not a simple majority, but like a 2/3 or 3/4 or something, because, and it may not be as much of an issue on Cpic, but I certainly find on school councils, more than one that I've been on, people join at the beginning of the year and then they drop off and they don't come to meetings. So a simple, and I know I made this comment with the school councils as well, a simple majority can quickly become a minority. So I would be a little bit cautious about a simple majority. You also commented about co-chair. So I don't know if is that part of this discussion? Because I had a thought on that too, but I didn't think it was within the topic at hand.
You're right. It's probably part of an extended discussion of this, and that as it pertains to the bylaws. Okay. But by all means, voice it now.
Well, I would say I think whether it's chairs, co-chairs, vice chairs, I think that again, goes back to me. It goes back to a governance issue. Olu had a lot of great points. He articulated them maybe better than I did. But yeah, I think those positions should be Catholic. Just like our teachers and our superintendents and our trustees have to be Catholic. CIAC members actually have to be Catholic. So anyways,
yeah,
that's
okay.
it.
Okay, thanks, Priya. I've made those notes as well.
Or 3/4 or something.
Okay. All right. Olu, is your hand up from before, or did you have an additional comment?
Sorry, it's up from before. Let me take it down.
No worries. Thank you. Okay. Just going back over the chat, make sure I didn't miss anything here. Okay, I think we're caught up with everyone's comments. Okay. All right, and just so thank you everyone. I think by way of the chat and through the various speakers, we've captured a fair bit of feedback here. We'll do our best to encapsulate it. I mean, Trustee Guzzo's on the call, so you've got to hear it firsthand, and of course Trustee Guzzo chairs the policy procedure committee for the board. So well, you've got it right from the horse's mouth, Nancy. So there you go. But we'll also capture that and share it back. Oh, hi, Brenda. Sorry, I didn't see that you had joined. Welcome, Trustee Agnew. All right. So terrific. Okay. All right. Well, and of course, as always, folks, if there's additional feedback you want to provide it offline, by all means, feel free to email to myself and or Jen, and we'll absolutely include any additional commentary if you didn't feel the need or the desire to bring it up tonight. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Again, not an easy discussion, I know, but thank you for engaging in it. Okay. So just next item on the agenda then, upcoming or future Cpic meeting dates. That's our proposed calendar for the next school year. So just for your board information. And of course we have our Council of Chairs meeting coming up later in May, and so we'll circle back regarding agenda for that as well. Okay, just before we move to our closing prayer, any other business or potential future business items or agenda items that anyone wanted to raise now? Maria, I'm assuming your hand is up from before.
Yes, sorry.
No problem.
Bad habit.
Yeah. Okay. You were always that kid in school, weren't you, with your hand up all the time?
No comment. I actually didn't participate in school. I'm very different than I was back then.
There you go.
It's 360.
Oh, too funny. All right, thanks for that. Okay, very well. If there's no further business, then we'll move to our closing prayer for your. I didn't see Father Dave join us at any point, so Superintendent Donalfo, if you wouldn't mind closing us with our prayer.
Thank you, Jerry, and thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Please join me in the sign of our faith. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, amen. Lord, we pray this evening for our Cpic members. May they know your presence in every part of their lives. Give them wisdom, patience, and courage to face the challenges, knowledge to address their questions, joy in the presence of their loved ones, and trust that they will choose you on the right path. Make our prayer in Jesus' name, amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Good evening, and we will see you all again soon. Be safe.